Breaking news in the last hour, Manchester City have completed the £85.6 million signing of Ayyoub Bouaddi from Lille. Hi there, welcome along to Transfer Talk as Manchester City make their move. But could Enzo Fernandez also be on the way to the Etihad? Former Newcastle midfielder Jeff Hendrick and our reporter Anton Taloui are here to talk us all through it this lunchtime. One man on the way out of City is Nico Gonzalez. He's in Newcastle for a medical ahead of his £50 million move. First, though, Manchester City have completed the £85.6 million signing of Ayyoub Bouaddi from Lille, but he might not be the only midfielder on his way to the Etihad. And before we discuss all things City, here's Bouaddi's first interview as a City player.
Ayyoub, welcome to Manchester.
Thank you.
How proud are you to be here wearing City blue?
I'm really happy, really proud to be here, one of the greatest clubs in the world. And I hope everything's going to be right in the future.
Why does now feel like the right time for you to make this move?
Yes, I think it was the right time because I was good in Lille. I felt very good, but it was the moment for me to step over, And coming in City was, I think, the right things to do. And I'm really happy and proud to be here.
We got to see you at this summer's World Cup, but for those that might not be familiar with your game, how would you describe your playing style?
I would say that I'm a player who plays for the team. I'm a really collective player. I try to put my teammates in the best position and to give everything every time for the team.
You're part of an exciting midfield rebuild. How much are you looking forward to being a part of that and working with Enzo Maresca?
Yes, I watched Enzo Maresca, who is an amazing coach. I can't wait to be trained by him as soon as possible. Even the team, I saw the really big players. I can't wait to see them in the dressing room, to play with them, to share good moments with them.
Have you set yourself any targets? What does success look like to you?
Yes, I think here the most important is to win. In the big club, you need to win. And this is all what we're going to do, and we're going to give 100% to achieve all our goals.
So Manchester City have got their man. Anton, what are the details on this deal for the 18-year-old?
It's a big deal. It's a record for a teenager. It's £85.6 million. He's agreed a deal until 2031. Look, he's the guy, isn't he, that Manchester City have wanted for weeks. He was a star at the World Cup, obviously. And look, he's a player that is wanted by so many clubs around Europe. At 18, he's not just seen as a player that for the future. He's seen as a player that can come in and can make an immediate impact. So Manchester City are very happy. Lille are very happy that they've managed to get so much money out of Manchester City, considering negotiations have gone on for weeks. They've said they've always wanted around €100 million, and that's pretty much what they've got. So everyone's happy at the end of the day.
Everyone's happy, as is the player himself. I mean, we were just saying, actually, Jeff, watching that interview with him, he looks older than 18. He carries himself with such maturity. What does Bouaddi bring to this Manchester City side?
Yeah, like you were saying there, he looked confident, he looked relaxed, even with the words he used. But he said what he's going to bring. He's going to bring his playing style, where he's going to fight for the club. I think fans will love hearing that. And we've all seen what he done in the summer, and he's got a bit of everything. I know he looks probably a couple of years older than he is, but there might be times where he dips in form or whatever. But I think it's really positive for Man City.
Why Man City new boy Ayyoub Bouaddi is proving to be a genius on and off the pitch. The numbers surrounding maths genius Ayyoub Bouaddi are starting to look impressive. But Manchester City want him to perform with his boots, not his brains, after signing him for big bucks. Maths genius Ayyoub Bouaddi is starting to compile some impressive numbers, the latest one being the £85 million Manchester City have spent luring him to the Etihad, making him the 5th most expensive teenager in world football. The English Giants have got themselves more than just a footballer. Bouaddi gained a degree in mathematics from the University of Marseille, while playing for Lille more than 1,000 kilometers north, during which time he relaxed, following training by studying arithmetic proofs. Whatever they are, he passed his science degree with honors as an undergraduate at the age of just 16, despite skipping school for 12 months during a childhood growing up on the outskirts of Paris, and won a national public speaking competition among French football academies at the famous Élysée Palace in front of Brigitte Macron, wife of French President Emmanuel Macron. He's been just as impressive on the pitch, too. In 2023, also at the age of 16, Bouaddi became the youngest player in the history of UEFA club competitions when he debuted for Lille against KI Laksvik. He is the youngest player in Lille's history, and the second youngest to provide an assist in League One. And following an impressive World Cup this summer, became the first African teenager to make 5 appearances in the competition. His debut came against the iconic Brazilians, but Bouaddi ran the show from start to finish. It seems Bouaddi has more strings to his bow than Robin Hood. But City have signed Bouaddi for what he can do with his boots, rather than his brains. A versatile talent capable of performing anywhere in midfield. Etihad bosses have not invested in the footballer he is but what he will go on to become. Yet Bouaddi, 18, is already mature enough to appreciate how he must focus on his new team rather than himself. He said, "I think it was the right time. I felt good in Lille, but felt it was the right moment to come to City. The right thing to do. I'd say I'm a player who plays for the team. I'm a really collective player. I try to put my teammate in the best position and give everything every time for the team." Bouaddi admits he spent his teenage years marveling at the achievements of Pep Guardiola and influences of City legends like Kevin De Bruyne, Yaya Touré, and Rodri, and believes he has joined a club which gives him the perfect platform to go on and create his own history on behalf of the blue half of Manchester. He said, "I grew up with Manchester City under Guardiola. When he arrived and what he did was just amazing. But then we know that City is one of the greatest clubs in the world with the best players, best team, the campus. Everything is done to perform here and do the best. I like to watch Kevin De Bruyne, also Yaya Touré and Rodri. A lot of great players have been at City. I can't tell you all of the players that I watched at City, there is too many. With a huge price tag comes huge expectation, at a club where failure is no longer an option. But Bouaddi wants to meet the challenge head-on. He added, "I think the Premier League is the most attractive and most competitive championship in the world. And we know that in the great club, we need to win. We are going to see what's going to happen. What's important is that I'm going to give 100% to achieve all of our goals." Enzo Fernandez set to join Manchester City as €140 million deal agreed. The citizens have already invested heavily in Lille youngster Ayyoub Bouaddi, but their search for elite midfield reinforcements has continued amid efforts to reshape the team and find a long-term solution following Rodri's importance to the side. That search has now produced another blockbuster development, this time involving one of Chelsea's most prominent players. According to Thai Sports, Manchester City have reached an agreement to sign Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea for around €140 million, with the Argentina international set to make the switch to the Etihad Stadium. Enzo Fernandez agrees long-term ManCity contract. The 25-year-old is reportedly poised to sign a contract running until 2032, with City also holding an option to extend the agreement for another season. A transfer had appeared increasingly likely after Fernandez was unavailable for Chelsea's Carabao Cup second-round meeting with Luton Town. The move will also reunite Fernandez with Maresca, while bringing his 3.5-year spell at Stamford Bridge to an end. Fernandez developed into an important figure during his time with Chelsea and was handed the captaincy. He also helped the Blues win the 2024-25 Conference League and 2025 Club World Cup, with Chelsea defeating Paris Saint-Germain in the final. His relationship with sections of the Chelsea support had nevertheless become strained during 2026, and he was recently booed during a friendly against Real Sociedad, amid growing speculations surrounding his future. Another enormous transfer for Fernandez. The reported €140 million agreement represents another huge transaction involving the Argentine midfielder. Fernandez previously moved from River Plate to Benfica, before Chelsea subsequently spent a massive fee to bring him to the Premier League. According to the report, his transfers involving River, Benfica, Chelsea, and now Manchester City will have generated approximately €279 million in combined fees during his career. City's latest investment would also follow their reported €100 million acquisition of Bouaddi as they undertake a significant midfield overhaul. This is an enormous statement from Manchester City, as Fernandez is already proven at the highest level, and at 25 should be entering the prime years of his career. Pairing him with another major midfield investment in Bouaddi gives Maresca significant options for the present and future. For Chelsea, €140 million would represent a huge fee for a player who had become an important part of their side. For City, however, the expectation will be immediate. At that price, Fernandez arrives not merely as another midfield option, but as one of the central figures around whom their next team will be built. Why Tottenham's £85 million swoop for Savio just doesn't add up. Except for Man City. Rafi Morrison was the brains behind City's decision to sign Brazilian flop Savio, and has now done it again on behalf of Spurs, for £50 million more in a deal which is difficult to fathom. Senior figures at Manchester City are said to be thrilled with the sale of Savio to Tottenham in a deal which could reach £85 million. And so they should be, because somehow City have managed to make more than £50 million profit on a footballer who contributed little or nothing to the team's success in the short time he spent at the Etihad. It took Pep Guardiola less than half a season to realize he'd made a mistake in signing the Brazilian winger from Troyes in 2024. In 2 seasons in Manchester, Savio made just 28 league appearances. These included a grand total of 7 last season. But it was his lack of commitment as much as his lack of impression and goals, which made the £30.8 million fee look extortionate. Let's just say Guardiola and his coaching staff had little time for Savio's work rate and reluctance to get physical when he needed to. But there is a man working at the highest level of football who must see something in Savio no one else can. Carlos Rafael Morrison. Morrison, who is known as Rafi to his friends and colleagues, oversaw Savio's transfer to City when he was the City Football Group executive. He spent almost a decade working across CFG clubs and was responsible for overseeing football transactions within the organization. In December of 2025, Morrison was lured to Tottenham as the club's new director of football operations. Morrison arrived in North London with big ideas, and it just so happens one of them was for Spurs to sign Savio, which they have now done. Signing someone who looks out of his depth in the Premier League once is clumsy, but doing the same thing twice is downright foolish. Undeterred, Spurs manager Roberto De Zerbi is under the impression he's landed himself a game-changing star. Savio is a player who brings energy, imagination, and quality in wide positions. He has the courage to attack defenders and the ability to change a game with his creativity, he said. Spurs' fascination with Savio is as remarkable as it is hard to fathom, because, and with respect to De Zerbi, if Guardiola didn't rate him, then why would an Italian whose greatest managerial achievement to date is winning the Ukrainian Super Cup? Spurs supporters should be bracing themselves to witness a footballer who flatters to deceive, thus personifying what his new club have been all about in recent times.